Hello, students. A very good morning to you all. Today, again, we are back with revision of chapter number 4, part 2. The Great Indian Desert. A desert is an area that receives either very little rainfall or no rainfall at all. Deserts have very little vegetation and either very high or very low temperatures. Okay, if it is hot, then it is too hot. If it is cold, it is too cold. So it is little vegetation because of less water. Vegetation means growing of crops. The Great Indian Desert, also known as the Thar Desert, stretches from the Gujarat plains in the south to the borders of Punjab and Haryana in the north. To its east lies the Aravalli Range. The desert covers a major part of western Rajasthan and extends up to Pakistan in the west. Here we can see the picture of the Great Indian Desert. We can see it is also called Thar Desert. It stretches, you can see the states covered. It is Gujarat, Rajasthan, Punjab and Haryana. These states are covered under the Great Indian Desert. Now, let us look at the life in the desert. The Great Indian Desert is dry and sandy as it gets very little rainfall. The rainfall is very less. Now there is one river Luni which flows through the region, but it has very little water all through the year. The summer months here are very hot and the winter months are very cold. During the day it gets very hot, but the nights are quite cold. This is because the sand gets hot in the day and cools down very quickly at night. Hot, dry winds are very common here. The winds blowing are very hot and they are dry winds. No moisture, so it is we feel very hot. Due to scarcity of water. Why there is scarcity of water? Because less rainfall. Where there is less rainfall, water scarcity is going to arise. There is hardly any plant life. How can we grow plants? Because plants need water. Yes or no? So, because of less water, vegetation and growing of plants is also very less. Scattered bushes and thorny shrubs are found here. Plants such as cactus, kikar, and babool, which require little water, grow in the desert. Look at the plants which are growing in the desert. Why these plants grow in the desert? Because these plants need very little water. Water in the desert is often salty and not good for most plants. Desert plants are usually thorny. They also have very long roots which reach deep down to tap underground water. These plants which are grown, no, they have very long roots which go very deep down to the earth. For what? For tapping out the underground water. This is a picture of a Thar Desert. We can see the sand till far off it is all looking dry and sandy. In some places oases are found. Now what is an oasis? We have learnt before also. An oasis is a place in a desert. A oasis is a place in a desert where underground water comes to the surface. where underground water comes to the surface. Now, date palms are grown here, and most villages in the desert are clustered around this oasis. Why these villages are clustered near oasis? Because people who find shelter, water to grow crops, they get to live there to do the work of farming. Since a desert has very little vegetation to hold the soil in a place, when wind blows, it carries sand with it, causing sand dunes. All wind is blown away with the water, with the sand, dry winds, and all this it causes sand dunes. The sand dunes cause dust storms. What are sand dunes? They are small hills of sand to move from one place to another. Now, as you all know, that people living in the desert area will always have water shortage. Scarcity of water problem is there. Now, to solve the water problem faced by the people in the desert, the government has built Indira Gandhi Canal. Which canal? Indira Gandhi Canal. Government has built. This canal gets its water supply from the river Satluj and its tributaries. From where does the Indira Gandhi Canal receive water? Or what is the source of water of the canal? It is river Satluj and its tributaries. The canal has eased. Eased means solved, made it easy for people. The problem water shortage faced by households, farms, and more land has been brought under cultivation because there is facility of water which is through the canal built by the government. The people are able to grow crops. Now, which crops are grown? Crops like wheat, barley, maize, jowar, and bajra are grown here. Now, as we have learnt importance of mountains, importance of northern plains, importance of plateaus, same way deserts also have their own importance. Let us see the importance of deserts. Life is difficult in the desert. It is difficult. Why? Because we have to stay in a place where there is less water, days are too hot, nights are too cold. So obviously life is going to be a difficult. But the desert region is also known for its beauty. Tourists from India and abroad visit the state of Rajasthan to see what desert life is like. Now, people not only from India but also from abroad, they come to visit many places in Rajasthan to see the desert life, how it looks. The people of Rajasthan are fun loving and love to wear colorful and bright clothes. Their festivals like Diwali, Tej, Gangor, and Dashera are lively. Lively means they celebrate with great enthusiasm. One should not miss riding a camel while visiting Rajasthan. If at all you get chance to visit Rajasthan, please do not miss the camel ride. Many people in the desert lead a nomadic life. Now, what is nomadic? This means that they do not live in one place but are always on the move. They are always keeping on moving from one place to another. The nomads of the Thar Desert are called Banjaras. They use camels to move from one place to another. Why they keep on moving from one place to another? Wherever they find food and shelter, they settle themselves there. So they are called nomadics. They are called nomads. of Thar Desert. They are called Banjaras also because they keep on moving from one place to another. The camel is called the sheep of the desert. Okay, this is the important animal found in the desert area only. Why? It is an important means of transport in the region. Camels have long legs and padded feet for walking in the sand. This animal can walk long distance in the desert area because of the long legs and padded feet. They have humps. What are humps? They are mounds of fat, okay, on their backs, which make it possible for them to go without food and water. They store the water in the hump and it can go without water for very long time. Now, some important towns in the Indian desert region are Jaipur, Jaisalmer, Jodhpur, Bikaner, and Udaipur. These are the important towns. Houses here are mostly, they have flat roofs, small windows, and thick walls. Why thick walls? So that they can keep themselves cool during the day and warm at night. The region has a number of forts and palaces built by the Rajput kings who ruled in this area years ago. Here we find many palaces and forts. If at all you happen to visit, as I said, you will see many forts. This region also has a number of wildlife sanctuaries. Now, what are wildlife sanctuaries? Where wild animals are protected. Okay. Now, the sanctuaries which we find in this desert region are Ranthambore, Bharatpur, and Sariska. Tigers, panthers, deer, and a variety of birds are found here. In the picture, you can see a typical desert house with thick walls and small windows. Now, let's recall what we learnt in this chapter. The Plateau region of India extends from the south to the northern plains of the southern tip of India. The Plateau region is divided into Central Highlands and Deccan Plateau. Rivers of South India are flooded with water during the rainy season. The desert in the northwestern India, also known as the Great Indian Desert or the Thar Desert. It is called Great Indian and it can also be called Thar Desert. The desert covers a major part of western Rajasthan and extends up to Pakistan in the west. Life in Indian desert, as we saw, is very difficult because there is scarcity of water in this region. Water is so essential for our life. From the time we wake up till we go to bed, just imagine how much water we must be consuming. Straight away waking up from the bed, brushing our teeth, bathing, mother cooking food, washing, maids washing utensils, everything we use water for. So without water, it is very difficult to live. That is why life in desert is said to be bit difficult. Now, as you saw the video of the Plateau region yesterday, today you are going to watch the extra marks. That is when you are at school, from the smart board you watch videos. Same way, today here you are going to watch the video hereafter. Please continue watching.
Rajasthan is a state in the northwest of India. It is mainly arid. The climate of Rajasthan is dry and parched. The summer season is quite hot. The average temperature in summers falls between 43.8 degrees Celsius to 23.8 degrees Celsius. The temperature can drop below freezing in the winter.
The Thar Desert, or the Great Indian Desert, is in the northwest part of India and spreads over 2 lakh square kilometers. It lies mostly in Rajasthan and extends into the southern part of Haryana and Punjab and into northern Gujarat. The Run of Kutch. The Thar Desert is bordered on the southwest by the Run of Kutch and on the west by the Indus River.
The Thar Desert is a desolate region where sand is piled up into huge wind-blown dunes, shifting sand dunes, broken rocks.
Do you know, there are a number of saltwater lakes in Thar Desert. The largest saltwater lake is Samhar, where common salt is produced from salt water. Thar receives an annual average rainfall of less than 25 centimeter. As a result, it faces droughts. This region is very hot in summer and very cold in winter. Temperatures can go up to 50 degrees centigrade in May and June. Often, there are dust storms with winds blowing at a speed of 140 to 150 kilometer per hour. Sometimes after digging a very deep well, water does come out, but it is quite sour and undrinkable. Only at some places, sweet water comes out of very deeply dug wells. Do you know, Rajasthan is world famous for its red chilies. Jodhpur chilies are famous for their red color and aroma. One can also see many eagles, harriers, falcons, buzzards, kestrel and vultures here. Do you know, in all desert regions, there is big difference in day and night temperatures and also a big difference in summer and winter temperatures. There is very little water and the soil is sandy. The vegetation consists of hardy plants which can survive in these harsh conditions. We can see plants like cacti, thorny shrubs, kikar, and babool growing here. The Thar Desert people depend on groundwater and rain because underground water is rarely found here. Sometimes after digging a very deep well, water does come out, but it is quite sour and undrinkable. Only at some places, sweet water comes out of a very deeply dug well. People collect all the rainwater in johars and tobas. And this is used for drinking, washing and other purposes. At some places where water comes out naturally from beneath the earth, an oasis develops and these areas can be cultivated. Do you know, Rajasthan is world famous for its red chilies. Jodhpur chilies are famous for their red color and aroma. The wildlife in this region is very rich. Some wildlife species: black buck, Indian gazelle, Indian wild ass, nilgai,
The cruelest creature that you find living in one of the world's hottest places is the camel. This animal is the absolute top desert creature. Its long eyelashes are perfectly designed to protect its eyes in a sandstorm. Its muscular nostrils can completely close to stop the sand flowing in. A feature of their nostrils is that a large amount of water vapor in their exhalation is trapped and returned to their body fluids. They have broad padded feet, which deal very well with the sand dunes. They can survive for 3 months without a drink. No other mammal can do this long without food and water.
Animals have evolved excellent survival strategies. It isn't one can see many eagles, harriers, falcons, buzzards, kestrel, and vultures.
The subcontinent of India is large enough to fit the whole Europe into it. It is such a vast country that when the heat is reaching the breaking point for the desert inhabitants, the Himalayas in the north, the world's highest mountains, are still covered in snow. India is certainly a varied land, which makes for a variety of wildlife. Rajasthan is also known for national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. Ranthambore National Park and Sariska Wildlife Sanctuary are the best place in India to spot tiger.
Important cities are Jaisalmer, Jodhpur, and Bikaner. There are beautiful forts, palaces, and havelis here. Today, Thar is one of the important tourist destinations of India. Recap. The Thar Desert, or the Great Indian Desert, is in the northwest part of India and spreads over 2 lakh square kilometres. It lies mostly in Rajasthan and extends into the southern parts of Haryana, Punjab and into northern Gujarat. The Thar Desert is bordered on the northwest by the Run of Kutch and on the west by the Indus River. There are a number of saltwater lakes in Thar Desert. The largest saltwater lake is Sambar, where common salt is produced from saltwater. In all deserts, there is big difference in day and night temperatures and also a big difference in summer and winter temperatures. The Indira Gandhi Canal project has been a blessing to the people in this region. Thank you. Presented by Extra Marks.
Miles and miles of sand stretching as far as the eyes can see. How dry it is. One cannot find water anywhere. Children, can you imagine what kind of life inhabitants of such a place live? Life in the desert is without doubt hard. The Thar is a world of its own, an unending ocean of sand dotted with dunes and shrubs with its own distinctive wildlife. Life in desert region of Rajasthan is very hard due to the extreme climate and lack of water resources. The main occupation of the people in the desert is agriculture and animal husbandry. Agriculture is mostly dependent on the low rainfall. That's why only crops which require less water can grow, like bajra and jowar. Only 24% of the area under agriculture receives water from the Indira Gandhi Canal. This canal and its branches receive Satluj and Beas water, and wheat is grown in the irrigated areas. Animals like camel, goat and sheep are rare as they can survive on hard grasses and thorny scrub vegetation. This rearing of animals is called animal husbandry, and it has become popular due to the difficult farming conditions. Do you know, the camel is rightly called the ship of the desert, as it can adapt itself to survive many days without water and food. Its feet can walk easily on the hot sand, and it is used by the desert people for not only carrying goods but also can provide milk, meat and pipes. The main language of this region is Rajasthani. A colorful culture rich in tradition prevails in the desert. The people have a great passion for music and poetry for dance and folk music. Colorful festivals like Gangor, Teej and Holi, Janmashtami and Diwali are the main attractions here. The region comes alive during the desert festivals celebrated with great zeal. The festivals and fairs have snake charmers, puppeteers, acrobats and folk performers with sound and light shows, dance and music. This festival is held once a year during winter in Jaisalmer. Ecotourism and desert safaris on camels have become increasingly popular in this region and are a big boost to the economy. Padharo Mare Desh, welcome to our region, is the slogan of tourism department. Do you know, Thar Desert in Rajasthan is emerging as the next energy hub of country. The region has rich deposits of oil, gas, lignite coal, coal bed methane, and to top it all, solar and wind energy. The Rajasthani women wear ghagra choli, saris, lehengas, dupattas, and beautiful silver jewelry. Rajasthani dresses are usually designed in bright colors like blue, yellow, and orange. The men in Rajasthan wear special headgear called the pagdi. Handicraft items like bandhani clothes, tie and dye saris, block printed cloth, blue pottery, silver and semi-precious stone jewelry are famous of this region. The Ghumar and Kambelia dances are famous of this desert region and today have become world famous. Puppet shows with Kathpulis and folk songs using instruments like sitar, sarangi and dholak narrate heroic tales of past kings. The music has evolved into a distinct style of its own. Jaisalmer, Bikaner and Jodhpur, each with fabulous forts, are the three main cities in the middle of the Thar Desert of Rajasthan. Large villages and many other nearby towns also reflect the rich cultural heritage of the state. Do you know, in May 1974, India exploded its first nuclear device in the desert of Rajasthan at a place called Pokhran. Click to know, which is the main city which lies in the heart of Thar Desert? Jaipur, Jaisalmer, Udaipur. Answer is Jaisalmer. The Indira Gandhi Canal obtains its water from which rivers? Ganga and Yamuna, Indus and Chenab, Satluj and Byas. Answer is Satluj and Byas.